So, good morning, Thursday morning, and second, and it's the Senate Agricultural Committee. And this morning, the staffers are going to work on 301 miscellaneous ag subjects. And I think Linda got us each a copy of 301 as it passed out of here. And 301 is it passed from the house. And the first part of 301 would be as it passed us. And as it passed the house, I think it's all pretty much the same. But then the the subject matter that we are dealing with this week, the Dolly has they've already added that the health center to their, and so ultimately I don't see where we need to do with it. But we have Commissioner Eric, and were you on 301 for your language?
Yes, that portion, yes, and
And
just that language.
would you like to
Good morning. For the record, I'm Christopher Herrick, I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I'm just gonna give you a broad overview, and with your indulgence, I'd like to actually have Lieutenant Courier speak to the issue.
you're the animal control officer?
Well, all of them are,
Oh, they all are.
yes.
Yeah.
But he's gonna speak specifically to the elements of this bill. But just for some background, this is a language that Representative Brennan had submitted to House E&E at the beginning of the session with our support and recommendation. And they just didn't have time to take it up. And so now that it's here, I just wanted to generally state that we obviously support the bill. There is some language in there that exempts taxidermy. I want to make sure that that's included in this. They sent that language over. But in terms of the specifics of why we want to do this and all that, I would actually like to ask Lieutenant Courier to come up and speak to that.
Sure, you need to pull up the chair.
He can, no, he doesn't, he don't need me. He's the smart guy.
I don't need you.
No,
Thank you,
I
Commissioner.
need him to. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it. For the record, I'm Lieutenant Robert Courier with the Vermont Water Service.
Yeah.
So I'm here to speak about the specifically the bear paw and the bear call aspect of the new bill and how that affects the state of Vermont, what we're experiencing now as an agency. So prior to becoming a lieutenant, right now I cover the northwest part of the state. I'm the supervisor up there. Before that, I was a detective sergeant, and I was involved in overt and covert investigations related to wildlife trade and illegal wildlife trafficking throughout the state of Vermont and New England. And I'll start out with wildlife trafficking in the world right now is the fourth largest illegal black market that exists. It is worth over $205 billion. It's an industry that is, if there was no, I would say, no illegal drug market or something like that, we would probably hear about it a lot more, but there's other things that overcast shadow of wildlife trafficking because it's not very prevalent. A lot of people don't have knowledge of it, but it does exist, and it's a very serious thing. So black bear gallbladders and black bear paws, it's an issue that we have right now here in Vermont. We do have multiple active investigations. We have had investigations in the past into the trade and sale of these bear parts. The gallbladders can be sold to middlemen traffickers at an average $50 to $100. And sometimes they can go higher than that. Sometimes we have experienced them being sold from up to $150 to $200. These are just in cases that we have been involved in. Some of the larger galls, obviously, they fetch a higher price and higher sum of money, and sometimes they are people will pay more money if they're dried, they're prepared already, as opposed to them being what they would call wet gallbladder, which is one that is directly from the animal, has been processed up to it.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a quick question? I missed some of the testimony yesterday. What do people use them for?
They get used in for medical things. It's in like there's a lot of it's in Asian black market, I would
Okay.
say. That I don't know exactly what they use it for medical purposes, but it's a lot of holistic.
Okay, thank you. Sir.
Yep. They also sell the paws. They'll remove the paws from the animal, and we haven't had a case that we've experienced in Vermont yet where this happened, but there are cases in the past that have been experienced in New England where they'll take a bear and they'll cut the paws off it while it's still alive, and sell the paws and dispose the rest of the bear. I will say that we haven't experienced that here in our state, but of course that's something we want to avoid if we don't want to see it happen. They'll sell these paws for $20 to $25 to a middleman trafficker, and then the money goes up higher than that when they finally get sold on the market.
But that, you haven't ever experienced that.
I haven't experienced that here, but I know it has been experienced in states that are very close to us. So just because I haven't seen it or heard of it here doesn't mean it's not. So what they do with the paws is you would think that they would remove these paws to sell them for things like the claws or something like that, some kind of ornamental item, but it's not. That's not the case. What the paws are sold for are to make bear paw soup. Bear paw soup is a commodity that is sold on the black market. We've experienced paws being trafficked from the state of Vermont all the way down into Boston, to Chinatown, and then we have information that they're ultimately ending up being shipped to Asian markets overseas. A serving of bear paw soup has been reported to be sold for up to $1,000, just one serving of this soup. You can imagine the amount of money that's being transferred and made on the natural resources of our state, and the other states around us. And want to make it very clear that the reason that these are being trafficked is for the consumability of the bear paw. It's the meat and what is contained within the paw. They're consuming it. They're not trafficking it for the reason of the claws and things like that, which is something that individuals try to disguise their business under. They'll say that they want the paws for the claws. But we know that it's different. So Vermont currently allows for the sale of bear parts within the state. We also currently allow for the sale of meat from big game during the big game seasons and 20 days thereafter. We don't allow for the sale of any meat to leave the state. So any meat that is taken from big game animals in the state of Vermont cannot be sold for the purposes of it leaving the state of Vermont. But that doesn't include gallbladders. And the bear paws actually, Title 104783, it actually allows for the sale of bear paws and bear gallbladders specifically. So we want to create a situation where we're not going to have these issues, and we can combat these issues and make sure that our state doesn't become a laundering site for individuals that are engaged in this type of behavior, to say that bear paws or bear galls were obtained in Vermont, so therefore they can try to pass them off as being legal. We want to close that door. We're one of the very few states in the country that allows for the sale of these items within their state.
So Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Lieutenant, are these generally people that come from outside the state, hunt here and then leave? Or are these Vermonters that are supposedly involved?
We have some of the investigations that we have been involved in and we currently have going on. Some of them are still active investigations, so obviously I can't really get into some of the details on them. But we're seeing individuals travel here to Vermont to purchase these items at a lower rate because they're buying them directly from Vermonters, and then transport them out of our state, across state lines, into other markets where they can make more money off of that.
I thought you testified earlier that we didn't have any of this going on in Vermont.
I was referring to the, when I spoke about the removal pause from live black bears. I hadn't seen that yet here.
the gallbladder.
The gallbladders definitely happens here. They are coming here to buy gallbladders and they are coming here to buy paws. I was referencing the case that I'm aware of that happened in another state where they just removed paws from live bear.
Hopefully, I think we got this it's written up in a way that's going to prohibit all. And you folks are right behind that. Other questions?
Yeah, what page are you on? Are you in the draft from Michael O'Grady?
I'm on
Should I be
page
follow-
21. Everyone on, I was drafting 22.
Okay, great, so much we're on the same page. Thank you.
It's way near the end. After long stuff and all that. It's, yeah, 22, the section.
But that's the,
That's pet shops. Thank you.
Yeah, isn't that where we got this?
no. No, I don't see any language referencing the bears. Maybe we need to.
We had an email guy yesterday. So, but
Commissioner Herrick sent language over.
I.
You got that one?
Yeah.
Maybe
Just
that,
trying to figure out where that fits in our bill or the House bill or whatever. I just
Yeah.
put the pieces together, so, sorry.
maybe the House didn't have that section.
Is that for us to add? Is that the point?
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna add this back to the House bill, which has the pet stuff in it, right? So-
Yeah, I figured that would be, we could accept their proposal and then not let the further proposal from this.
Okay. Keep one up there.
Well, I mean, this time of year, you have to
No, I'm
do
learning.
things.
Yeah, this is like very. This is neither one. This is what the numbers two is introduced.
We'll hear from it.
It is.
Give me a minute. I got the wrong thing.
It's okay. So if I could, so just for the record, I want to make sure that we understand that this is a perhaps unusual circumstance where we get different groups who normally would not necessarily see life the same way, all coming together and supporting this. I don't know if I'm saying that in the right way, but when you mentioned Representative Brennan and the Federation, they're, I think, behind this as well. I mean, he put the amendment of the bill in. The commissioners indicated his support and so I guess the other way to ask the question, is there anyone that doesn't think this is a good idea?
Not that I'm aware of. Commissioner?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so, but.
No.
I'm here to be a nice guy.
You're what?
I said I'm here to be a nice guy. No, we don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
There was
Just
a
a-
problem with the initial language.
That's right.
I'll speak to it.
And that's what Mike pointed out early on when we submitted it. And that's why the amendment for the taxidermy, but he can speak to that.
It's,
That's why that's.
deals with that.
Yep.
Yep. No, I mean, I don't know anybody that's opposed to. Probably the guys that, the black market guys will be.
Well,
uh,
except for the criminals, yeah.
If they can deal in New Hampshire or wherever, we don't need them here.
I didn't mean to paint a overly antagonistic view of the landscape either. It's just quite often
Yeah, we don't.
we only see people all come together and pretty much agree very rarely.
Yeah.
And this is one of those, so I'm finding out this.
Well, it happened back in 78, remember? 78, 79.
I born.
I was still in school.
Yeah. There used to be around here a lot of that. I'd say the last 10 years, it's sort of
Yeah.
creeping toward DC politics, which is pretty sad. Because there's, I mean, I've lived quite a while and, there's always middle ground with you have an open mind. It's a sad day when you can't get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to reiterate, the reason that Lieutenant Curry was here, and you should all be aware, he spent a lot of time doing a lot of investigations on crimes against wildlife in the state. He should be commended for his work. And there aren't a lot of, unfortunately, we don't get to spend a lot of time doing those kind of investigations, and this is just one more tool, but I think you should all recognize the amount of work and the type of work that Lieutenant Curry has done in his job. It's outstanding, and we should all be proud of that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second the Commissioner's thoughts. I was up in the cafeteria 2 nights ago for a little get together with your department, and I blown away. Absolutely top notch people.
Thank you.
The language, the on the page, that's a Title 10 language.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure that, Chairman Bray's from.
This.
There's always that potential. Yes, I think in sub 2.
Yeah.
If I'm reading this correctly, it would strike paws and internal organs of a black bear, but leave everything else. I think there's a comma there and a strikeout, but. Do you have that in front of you?
I do not.
Right.
And the rest is existing.
Is that the email that I sent over?
Yes.
I believe it.
Yeah, that was written by Catherine Jesse.
Okay.
So you think that the comma needs to be in for it? It's basically.
Well, let me just read. The head or hide, because that's not part of the strikeout, I don't think.
It appears that you can still sell the head or the hide
Correct.
of the black bear.
Paws, internal organs. I don't think you need that. You don't need that comma.
I don't think so either, but I think, again, I'm not a scrivener, but
Yeah,
I think that actually is trying to be struck out there.
Which,
The comma.
oh, yeah, oh, that's right, yeah, right.
It should read the head or hide of a blackfish.
Yeah.
And it does exempt the text, so, yeah, I'm fine on this.
yeah. If you want.
Oh, sure.
To that.
I will move that we add sub 2 into H, or it's an S bill, S301, as passed by us earlier in the year.
Well, what we would do is propose an amendment to that.
Right.
Accept their proposal amendment. Further proposal. And
And then, yeah, you said it much better than I did.
well, I've had more practice. So, is there a second?
Also,
yeah, second.
Well, all three of you. And
Goes well for the votes.
would you wanna call the roll?
yes, I will. This is amendment. Senator Campy.
Yes.
Senator Collins.
Yes.
Senator Weston.
Yes.
My vote is a yes. Senator Stark.
Yes. And
Thank you.
the, so,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for your consideration as well.
Now, have you spent any time in natural resources?
Too much.
Noticed your hair from
Are you suggesting on this issue?
Well,
Not at all.
I don't know, we got a little amendment that Brian was gonna do. And it's out in Title 20. And they're not gonna have to look at that. And so, because they're doing more than work. So they haven't had time to do these, little things, like protecting our air and things like that. And so they're gonna try to find time between now and when we go home to review them. So I don't know if it would do any good if you stopped in and if you stopped in there and you said that we were having,
On this particular issue?
yes.
Well,
Title 20, that's their, name.
I will just make a visit. Because we also believe this is important. Protecting our wildlife is important.
Well, I hope it's important in there because we're running out of time and this just came to us, so.
Sure.
We feel it's very important and want to do the right thing and you better make your appointment as soon as you can because they're very busy.
I hear you loud and clear.
So with that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Rich.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for telling.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So.
Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Bob.
I don't know how that will get built. It's gonna be possible. Did you report this? No.
Which one? 301, that was me.
301.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Michael, I think he's gonna come just tomorrow, right? Linda?
He's gonna try to come in at 9:45.
Oh, yeah, so we'll have him do the amendment.
Yeah.
Proposed amendment, and,
As I understand it, it's on the floor today in the house,
yeah,
so technically we don't have it yet.
no, but we'll have it,
Yeah.
we'll get it when it comes over, so
We'll be right.
we won't have to use up another day.
Yeah.
Getting.
Yeah.
Getting this in, and, the house added the pet issue in. Now, are some of you here in regards to the pet issue that the house added in? Yeah, would you like to talk about that particular?
You would, thank you.
part? We did work on this, yesterday to some degree, and, so.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Starr, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Joanne Borba. I'm the Northeastern Regional Director for the Humane Society of the United States. I live in Whitingham, Vermont, and have lived there since 1995. As part of my job with the HSUS, I also am a regular instructor of animal cruelty investigations at the Vermont Police Academy, as well as chair of the statewide nonprofit Vermont Disaster Animal Response Team that provides emergency services to pets who were impacted by natural disasters. In fact, I spent a good part of last summer at the Barry Auditorium helping with the care of 72 animals who were displaced from the flood here in Montpelier for 6 weeks. So it's my honor to serve the animals and people here in Vermont. I'd like to start my testimony by just describing what a puppy mill is, and why is it important that we work on this legislation now. A puppy mill is an inhumane commercial dog breeding facility that puts profits over the care of the animals. The bottom line is they save money by not providing veterinary care or good shelter or housing for the animals that they have. The mother dogs live in these cages for their entire lives in cramped cages that are unsanitary. And when they're done breeding, they're typically killed or abandoned and no longer needed. Due to the poor sanitation, overbreeding, the lack of preventative veterinary care for these animals, puppies frequently suffer from a variety of health issues and also congenital issues, creating heartbreaking challenges for families who just want a new pet in their family. I shared with you a report that the HSUS compiled the last 15 years of puppy mill complaints that we've received, over 8,000 complaints in that period of time. And we're only one place where people might go. They might go to the Better Business Bureau or their local, ag agency or somewhere else to make the complaint. So that's just a drop in the bucket. Shockingly, there are an estimated 10,000 puppy mills in the country right now, housing 500,000 breeding dogs, and who sell approximately 2.6 million puppies per year. Public records show that most of these puppies go to pet stores. We have direct evidence of this through veterinary inspection reports. And the pet store language that was placed into the House version of 301 is a replica of the main law. I know that Representative Emily Krasnow had used that as the basis for drafting the bill, and it has been working as intended. That law also exempted the few pet stores that were still in Maine. So this law would not directly impact the one shelter that does sell puppies here. These laws are passed in 7 states and over 490 localities across the country. And in particular, I think the urgency of the situation really relates to the passage in New York of similar legislation. New York has more than 50 puppy selling pet stores that will be impacted by that law. And they, our concern is that when that law goes into effect in December, those pet stores will be looking for somewhere else to go. And Vermont shares quite a large border with New York. It's really crucial that the prohibition on additional pet stores happens this year, because like I said, when that law goes into effect in December, we're concerned that those animals are simply just going to move to Vermont and those pet stores that we've seen violations in. The Vermont Agency of Agriculture doesn't, as this committee very well knows, doesn't have the resources to even inspect and license and regulate our state's animal shelters and rescue groups, the bricks and mortar shelters that are in every county, almost every county here in Vermont. I did check with the state vet and confirmed that pet shops are not only inspected before they get licensed, but they're also inspected annually, and when a complaint comes forward. So looking at an influx of animals coming into the Vermont, I question how we'll find the resources to regulate a growing pet shop industry here in Vermont. Well, we would like every pet store to transition to a humane model, and that's the alternative, is they don't have to sell dogs and cats to make money. They do quite well with the inventory and resources they have. It's kind of shocking to me that the pet products and services industry, Americans spent $147 billion on their pets in 2023. And that's continuing to grow. And I won't ask if anybody here puts their pet in a Halloween costume, but I admit to that. And of the top 25 pet store chains in North America, only one sells puppies. They're an outlier in their own industry. I also want to speak to Vermont's current puppy lemon law. So this is a law that provides some relief for people who would buy a dog from a pet store, dog or cat from a pet store here in Vermont now.
Or we only have one store.
We only have one puppy selling pet store, exactly. But the lemon law also includes pet dealers, and you may remember the very long saga of passing the pet dealer law here in Vermont. So any breeder who sells 3 or more litters in a calendar year, dogs, cats, wolf hybrids, or any combination thereof, is a pet dealer. And they also have to go by the same regulations that the pet shops do. And they're also subject to the lemon law. So, but the problem is that once you adopt an animal, you don't want to return it to the store where it got sick or was sick when you went to get it. And there's a cap on the reimbursement that an owner can get. So if I go to a pet store and I pay $5,000 for a dog, and I end up spending $20,000 in veterinary costs, I'm only gonna be eligible for $5,000 reimbursement. So we see those cases sadly happening all the time.
I thought I paid the loss from anybody, 5,000 and 10,000.
Oh, yeah, easily, easily. Wow. Some of these signature breeds, if you go online, you would be amazed at what, what purebred dogs are going for.
Archie was $50.
$50.
$50.
My German Shepherd, I think, that way back, $50.
Rubbing humane system.
Benny was a little heavy.
It's worth it. That's right. And I know the animal welfare issues are complicated, and I know you were at the last, the last days of the state legislature,
I hope so.
yeah. But we really feel this is an animal welfare issue that is very simple to solve by closing the pipeline to these puppy mills in the Midwest.
That, the only part of that bill that I had questions on was that, I think number 3, in it where you can't sell any more than you did in 23.
Right.
Well, what if I wanted to open a pet store next year, because I haven't got anything to do. And I wouldn't be able to sell dogs or cats, I don't see, unless I got an exemption or something from somebody.
Right, you would be able to house, like a lot of the shelters use Petco or PetSmart, they have adoption events for the shelters animals, which is, it's a win-win situation because those animals need a home. And when people adopt the animals from PetSmart, they spend a lot of money in the aisles, buying toys and treats and food, and that's really where, where they get their most income. We are not tied to that language, I can't speak for Representative Krasnow in terms of, we will be fine removing that language from the bill if it's a concern to you.
Well, I
absolutely
just think
no problem.
that if we had a good reputable person that wanted to do this, it would be a benefit to pets as well as to owners to be able to go there and purchase a pet legitimately and knowing that they have to meet certain, shop has to meet certain criteria. I wouldn't wanna just say, well, there isn't any other one but that one up and such, so you've gotta go there.
And this bill doesn't change the current market in Vermont. I mean, it doesn't change where Vermonters are gonna get their animals. They're still gonna, go to shelters, breeders, there are rescue groups that do purebred rescue. They can, they can go to that one shop. I mean, this bill would stop additional pet stores from coming in and selling puppies. Because that is where the pipeline, so Vermont is contributing to the cruelty by allowing these animals into our state. So we're saying, no, we have enough animals here, thank you very much, for adoption.
We don't need.
Right, and a lot of great responsible breeders who do it right, and we'd be very happy to have you see where the animals are born and how they're raised, and we're not against breeding, we're against using animals like this in a way that they're just for profit and they're just not cared for. So it's heartbreaking, and we are starting to see some advances and fewer animals as we shut down some of these places, and it's certainly, I think, something that we are committed to and very, very excited to see Representative Krasnow introduce this bill and hope that they'll consider keeping it in 301. So.
No, that's all part of our. Irene.
Thanks very much. So if we left 3 in, any one of the pet stores can partner with a shelter and have like a weekend showcasing pets and people can come in and buy those pets
Right, they're doing that now.
from the Humane Society,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
Not necessarily buying the pet from the store, but they still can buy,
Correct.
and the pet store can allow that transaction to happen on their premises
Mhm.
without any limits. Right?
Correct.
There's no limit placed on getting a shelter pet at Petco, Pet
Correct.
whatever.
Right.
Okay, so I'm fine with leaving that in because it doesn't prohibit pets from being shown in a pet shop. As long as they are sourced from a shelter, which is what we wanna do. We wanna get pets out of shelters and into homes. We don't wanna
Right, exactly.
have shelters filled and asking us for money when there's a puppy mill
Mhm.
filling that demand through the pet stores.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
I'm fine with leaving that in because that doesn't mean we don't have any pets to buy. We have plenty of pets to buy already. Sourced right here in Vermont.
Mhm.
Okay,
What if Irene wanted to open a pet store?
I would make sure I partnered and had lots of open weekends with the Chittenden County Humane Society because that's where I live and that's my near shelter, but I also might partner with the Franklin County Humane Society, which they'll go in because I have some constituents in Franklin. Like I would make sure that the shelters are the feeder to my business, not Puppy Mill. And I think that's what this
Right.
does.
And the national chain, you know, the 25 national chains, Petco, PetSmart, they sell other small animals, but they don't sell dogs and cats.
Okay.
So there's only one national chain, it was Petland, which still sells dogs and cats, and is still using this antiquated model. So.
I have a question on something you said earlier. You said New York has more than 50 pet stores that would be affected by their law. So their law's trying to just shut down.
Their law
Puppy Mill
also.
is different than this?
It did not grandfather in those
I
stores.
see. Okay, so that's why.
They will have to, some of them will switch to a humane model
Okay.
and
Yeah.
will focus on, you know, those sales. And we know that some from New York, there's 2 stores in New York that have already moved to Connecticut. We know in other states where these laws have passed, we've seen the stores move to sister states, so we're seeing that trend already,
And we're
so.
smart enough to try to head it off.
I hope so.
Other questions?
No, I share your concern, Mr. Chair, but I don't know how to fix it. I'm trying to think of an example of Campion's Dogs and Cats opened up.
Right.
And there was a way to make sure that all of what I think everybody in the room would like to see with nice big open cages and adequate food and all that. If there was a way to make it so that that had to happen before he could open, then I think he should be able to sell as many dogs or cats as he wants, as long as those conditions are still being met all the time. But I don't know how to.
He can also be a pet dealer, so he could sell directly to the public. Most of the breeders in the state don't have like a bricks and mortar. They're they're breeding in their homes and they're meeting. If somebody says, I want to meet in the Walmart parking lot with your dog, the red flags would go off right away, right? So, if Senator Campion wanted to start breeding and selling animals, he could become a pet dealer, $25 for a permit. And the same regulations that apply to pet shops apply to pet dealers. So he would be inspected,
You can
right?
do that.
He'd be open for inspection by the municipality. So the pet dealer law gives enforcement authority to the municipal animal control officer to do inspections. The state vet also has the authority to do inspections, as do law enforcement agencies. So that would be the cleanest and best way to sell animals, because then you're regulated. We don't have any control over what's happening in the Midwest in a puppy mill in Oklahoma. My organization just took 250 dogs out of a puppy mill in Oklahoma, and weeks later, I mean, all the dogs were pregnant, the population has tripled. And we're still holding those dogs. So we've had puppy mills here in Vermont. I've been there, I've seen them, and it's heartbreaking. So I don't think Vermont wants any part of that industry.
And this is only targeting those puppy mills. It is not targeting Senator Campion's Pets for You. And you can sell an unlimited number of pets, either from a breeder
For the record,
or.
I'm not gonna open anything.
So-
It's like it's.
Well, but hypothetically,
Right.
because we don't wanna limit how many pets you might wanna sell,
Right.
or chickens or whatever. Okay. Exactly. Okay.
Just
so
it's the
I'm fine with that
retail,
as
the
written.
retail is the
It sounds like it was carefully done. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shannon.
Nice to see you.
You sure want to?
I'll lend you the $25.
Len. Nice.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for letting me speak to the committee. I really appreciate it. My name is Pamela Kraus, and I'm the Executive Director of Vermont Companion Animal Neutering. We also go by Beach and Spay Neuter Clinic. We're located just down Route 2 in Middlesex. We opened in 2008 and have offered over 45,000 dogs and cats. And I'm also a board member of the Vermont Humane Federation and speaking on their behalf today. Vermont Humane Federation consists of 16 local shelters and other animal welfare organizations. And we do support the ban on pet for selling puppies and kittens. We love puppies and kittens. They're great. We don't have anything against them. We don't have anything against breeders. What we have an objection to are the unethical, irresponsible breeders that view animals only as a commodity and are in it only for profit. Local ethical breeders, we support 100%. My grandpuppies and my puppies-in-law, they've all come from local breeders where my family goes. They see the mother and father on site and they know the history, and they're not saddled with a sick or health challenged puppy. The congenital issues from dogs from puppy mills is huge. If there is a little booklet that just lists them all, and it's really, it's tragic that there's dogs that can't breathe, can't reproduce on their own, that basically suffer their whole life. Ethical breeders don't breed those kinds of animals. They just don't. And they love their animals. They're part of the family. You can go and visit them. Usually you're visiting them inside their home. And they're not going to sell. The local breeders in Vermont are not going to sell to a pet store. So it really isn't going to affect our local breeders at all. It's going to prevent problems that could happen in the future by opening up, the ones from New York or other places coming in and opening it down the road. This bill is proactive. It will keep things from happening that we don't want, rather than trying to play catch up later and enforce regulations and try to regulate something that is out of hand. And our ag department is already overburdened, short-staffed, and we're losing the best one ever. She's retiring, so I think Kristen is retiring. So
Who?
Kristen Haas.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Okay.
It's on the public record now.
That's on the public right now. And speaking with her many times, it's not something, they don't want more regulations. They absolutely don't want to do that. And as has been mentioned before, the Vermont Humane Federation and other interested parties are already trying to play catch up when we were behind the 8 ball regulating rescues. And it's tough. It's not an easy thing to do after the fact. So this is a simple bill that would just prevent future problems. And I just think it's really important to know that the Vermont Humane Federation is not anti-breeding. We're not anti-purebreds. We know that people want the little Yorkies and the Shih Tzus and the German Shepherds too, the big dogs. We don't want to leave them. We're not against that at all. It's just the source of them. We want them from ethically sourced places, local places. And it's just really important to know that the local organizations, the 16 organizations that are part of the Vermont Humane Federation, support this bill.
Did you testify on the health side?
I did.
I did as well.
You get into joint.
Yes.
Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the Rutland County Humane Society part of the Federation?
Yes, they are.
I had a call from one of my favorite people in the world, Beth Sarah Dearman.
Yep,
And she
absolutely.
had urged me to support this, so I'm going to.
Yeah, I don't think we have a problem
Do you know what, has the agency of ag taken a position on it or?
I'm not sure. They had a neutral position on the bill.
Okay.
The see Fish and Game does some dog stuff. Stuff. And these guys, pet stores have to register, and I think they have a person over there that that's supposed to go and look at the store and, you know, talk with the owner and, but like I said yesterday, we get this one fixed in about 4 years, the gold will start peeling off the dome again. You'll get that again.
Somebody else, yeah.
I mean, we do our best to get it done, but the folks that ruin it for legitimate pet owners and stores always seem to find a way. So, thank you. And, well, were there any other?
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Michael's supposed to be coming along. The work of that. Did you have any more or any?
There's one person waiting, there's one person waiting.
Oh, there's one on.
Hello, I was just, I'm Amy Jesse, I'm the Puppy Mills Policy Director, I'm Joanne's colleague, and I was just here in case there were any questions about what other states have done or sort of the national perspective, that's what I can bring, but if not, I'm happy to just defer to my Vermont-based colleague.
Yeah, well, thank you for being with us, just in case. Yeah, so did you guys, anything?
Yeah, just want to add, Bob Galvin, Vermont State Director for Animal Wellness Action and Center for Humane Economy. Both Animal Wellness Action and Center for Humane Economy fully support this bill. So just wanted to add that as well.
Yeah. And do you have a question?
I would love to hear from the pet store. I just think we should hear from the pet store, or at least contact the pet store and see if they want to testify.
We'll hear from.
Well, there's only one. Does anybody have contact information? I mean, I don't feel like we
I
want
know
to
it's Pet
dot every
Advantage
I.
is their name. Pet
Okay.
Advantage is the name of their, in South Burlington.
And they're nationally owned, or are they local franchise?
I think they're local.
I just feel like we should be reaching out to the one shop that's affected by this bill, just to check that box.
I don't think it's like that.
No, they won't. They're kind of like outside.
Yeah.
Well, that clause that you mentioned affects them. Right, that they couldn't sell any more next year than they did last year. Like that affects them, does it not?
But they've
No.
been, I thought the.
They're not even
rep-
selling it.
I
Yeah,
thought
so-
you said they did have sell.
I thought there
dogs
was,
last year,
there was
but they
one
just don't have any at the present.
Correct, so for the
Shall
record,
not apply.
accept.
I'd rather see.
I will.
They did-
You have more
We- we
comfortable
check
seats
that.
than we do upstairs,
Well,
I know.
This tenant.
I guess.
we're older and.
That's fair.
Period.
You need more cushion. So for the record, Rep. Emily Krasnow, South Burlington. So I'm happy to also show members of the committee their website where it says they occasionally have, so they are legacy clause into the bill. I am happy to connect you if you'd like to talk to them, but this bill has been on the radar since January and any, folks have had the opportunity. This won't affect them in any way. So, but happy to connect you with them if you'd like, or the
And the,
website, the information.
didn't somebody testify to the fact that this hung on the wall in the house, all last year or?
No, this is January and, Chair Durkee, mentioned as we all know, many things happen, and then I know in our committee, general and housing, we start to look at our wall, and through committee discussions, folks discussed that this was a really important bill that they wanted to see move forward, because it did. They felt, as well as myself and the folks here, that it did have an urgency to get ahead of the problem, that we don't want that influx given the border state. So that's why it didn't, I would have reintroduced it, absolutely, but folks in the committee felt that it was urgent to pass this year, given New York and other states as well. So, obviously, we are receiving Senate bills now in our committee, so we've added things, different things. And, same thing back and forth, so that's kind of what happened. They had an agenda that had some things that needed to get done, and we're moved to add it after the committee, actually. Members of the committee decided that that was one they really wanted to have come off the wall, and so we got our testimony together and spent happy to provide you with the schedule of witnesses, but weeks, since March, of extensive testimony from both sides, all sides. Weighed in.
No, any other,
Yeah, can you elaborate on the all sides, like who was against this and what,
So I don't have the testimony list in front of me, but you did hear from folks yesterday who are opposed to it. They were not in person for that. They came on Zoom. AKC National gentleman has Vermont Federation of Dog Clubs. And but as far as people like everyday citizens, there has not been folks that, obviously when something is available, I'm not gonna reach out to the opposition to get them to testify.
no, but I think it behooves us, if we're looking here from all voices, and it does constrain the pet store, because if Pet Advantage wants to sell out to somebody, number two is prohibiting that. And
I'm sorry, so if they want to,
sell the pet store, then they're no longer exempt according to this, right? The pet shop remains in the same ownership at the very bottom of page 22.
oh, I
As
see,
existed on July 1st, like, we're putting constraints on a business, just wanna be sure that we're supporting local business.
right,
And not constraining it, and that's why I'm saying. I would like the community to reach out and say. How do they feel about this? Cause I don't wanna hear in a month, oh, you're anti-business, you didn't listen to even the people, the one shop that this affects. I really wanna make sure we do our homework on this, cause we do have a few days left to take testimony.
yeah, absolutely,
Okay,
so.
I'm not telling you that, just saying,
No, no,
but
no.
on the committee, that's my personal feeling, if everyone wants to go forward with that, that's fine.
Absolutely, and so I also support, and I'm so supportive of, I live in South Burlington where we have amazing businesses, small, large, chain, all in Chittenden County. And that's why I drafted the bill after Maine's law, so that it wouldn't affect any businesses. New York did not do that, and I believe California did not do that. So, but the last thing I wanna do is affect local businesses in any way that would hurt them as well. It's very important to me as well. And so that's why, the business community hasn't had any opposition, but I'm happy to connect you with the website if you'd like to reach out to the one store that on their website says they occasionally do that.
that would be helpful.
Of course, yeah, happy to provide you or your committee assistant, or if you'd like to reach out to them to check all the boxes and.
Do you have that name on the?
Yeah, we have plenty of time.
What is the name of?
Next week.
Yeah, Pet Advantage.
In South Burlington, yes. But yeah, no,
Thank you.
I like to cover all the boxes as well, and like you said, this is, making laws, you don't wanna come back to it and not have covered all your bases, so I appreciate your thoughtfulness on that as well. Thank you again for.
Yeah,
Thanks.
any other? Good.
No, all set. I feel good about it. Yeah.
Yeah, mine, Dana. Good morning. Well, it's, what time is?
11.
Going to try to make it?
Oh, Mike was gonna be down here, right?
Sorry, that would be helpful.
Running fast.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll,
Thanks for coming.
we need.
I'll be in
to
touch.
Take,
Thank you.